The story began inside a quiet recording studio, a place that has long been considered the creative heart of BTS's music journey. Over the years, countless melodies, lyrics, and ideas have been shaped within those walls, turning raw emotions into global anthems. Yet, on this particular day, the studio became the center of a very different kind of conversation, one that left Jungkook stunned and searching for clarity. What exactly did Taehyung reveal, and why did it spark so much discussion about HYBE, the company that manages BTS? The scene unfolded naturally at first. The members had gathered in the studio for what seemed like an ordinary recording session, surrounded by microphones, soundproof walls, and the hum of equipment preparing to capture their voices. As usual, there was laughter, casual conversation, and a comfortable familiarity that comes from years of working together as both colleagues and friends. However, things shifted when Taehyung's tone grew serious, signaling that he had something important to say. Jungkook, sitting across from him with his headphones resting on his shoulders, leaned in with curiosity. What followed was a revelation that no one in the room seemed to anticipate. Though the exact words remain a matter of speculation, what is clear is that Taehyung's statement touched on something related to HYBE's inner workings. It wasn't about music production, choreography, or fashion choices. Instead, it was a disclosure that carried weight, something that made Jungkook pause, blink, and process the information with visible disbelief. The usually composed singer was suddenly caught off guard, and the atmosphere in the studio shifted from relaxed creativity to tense uncertainty. Why was Jungkook so surprised? Observers close to the industry suggest that Taehyung's comments may have pointed to decisions or strategies within HYBE that even the members themselves were not fully aware of. This in itself is significant because BTS has long been portrayed as being in sync with their company's vision. If one of the members was hearing about a secret for the first time in a casual studio conversation, it raised questions about transparency and communication between the artists and their management. It is important to understand the role of HYBE in this dynamic. Formerly known as Big Hit Entertainment, HYBE has evolved into one of the most influential entertainment companies in South Korea and beyond. The company not only manages BTS, but also oversees multiple subsidiaries, global partnerships, and new technological ventures. With such rapid expansion, the balance between creative freedom and corporate strategy often comes under scrutiny. Could Taehyung's revelation have been related to HYBE's business direction? Or was it something more personal, something that directly affects the members on a daily basis? Jungkook's reaction suggests that the revelation was not a small detail. He reportedly sat in silence for a few moments, his usual energetic demeanor replaced by cautious reflection. Silence in a studio is unusual, especially for BTS, who thrive on collaboration and feedback during recordings. The pause itself spoke volumes, hinting at the weight of the subject. Taehyung, meanwhile, appeared calm, almost as if he had been carrying this information for some time and had finally chosen to share it. The contrast between his composed delivery and Jungkook's stunned reaction highlighted just how unexpected the disclosure was. The incident quickly sparked conversation beyond the studio walls. Staff members and insiders who witnessed the exchange began to speculate about what Taehyung meant. Some believed it was connected to upcoming projects that had not yet been publicly announced, while others hinted at deeper structural issues within HYBE that might have long-term implications. Because no official statement was made, the mystery only grew. Fans began to pick up on subtle cues through behind-the-scenes clips, interviews, and even social media activity, piecing together fragments of information like detectives chasing a hidden truth. The studio, once a symbol of music and artistry, now became a backdrop for questions about trust, corporate transparency, and the balance of power between idols and their management. The fact that this conversation did not occur in a boardroom or formal meeting but in the intimate, creative space of a studio only added to the intrigue. It blurred the lines between professional and personal, between performance and reality. For Jungkook, the revelation was not just a piece of information, it was an interruption in the natural rhythm of their creative process. One of the key takeaways from this moment is the dynamic between Taehyung and Jungkook themselves. Their friendship has been widely discussed and celebrated by fans, But this incident revealed another layer: the possibility that even close friends can hold back information until the right time. Taehyung's choice to reveal the secret in this setting might suggest that he trusted the intimacy of the studio as the right place for such a disclosure. It could also mean that he wanted Jungkook to hear it directly, unfiltered, rather than through rumors or secondhand sources. For Jungkook, who has often been described as deeply passionate about BTS's music and future, the idea that there might be hidden elements within HYBE's structure could have been difficult to digest. His disbelief wasn't just about surprise, it may have been about reconciling what he thought he knew with a new layer of reality. The tension of that moment serves as a reminder that even in the world of global superstars, where everything seems meticulously planned, unpredictability still finds a way to break through. The studio moment did not end with loud arguments or dramatic confrontations. Instead, it left an unfinished sentence hanging in the air, a secret half-spoken and half-understood. For fans and observers, this open-endedness has become a point of fascination. What did Taehyung actually reveal? Why was Jungkook so taken aback? And what does this mean for BTS's relationship with HYBE moving forward? These questions set the stage for a deeper exploration into the company's history, its strategies, and the evolving role of its artists. To understand why Taehyung's revelation in the studio carried such weight, it is necessary to examine HYBE itself, the company that has managed BTS since their debut and has transformed into one of the most powerful forces in the global music industry. The relationship between BTS and HYBE has always been complex, defined by mutual growth, strategic innovation, and the ongoing tension between artistry and corporate ambition. Without this background, the significance of any secret tied to HYBE would be difficult to grasp. HYBE began its journey under the name Big Hit Entertainment, founded by Bang Si-hyuk in 2005. At that time, the company was small and relatively unknown compared to the larger entertainment giants of South Korea. Big Hit's early years were marked by financial struggles and an uphill battle to gain visibility in an industry dominated by established labels such as SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, and JYP Entertainment. The odds were stacked against them. Yet, Big Hit's strategy was unique. Instead of simply following existing trends, it focused on nurturing talent in a more personal and organic way. BTS, who debuted in 2013, became the company's defining success story. Their rise from a rookie group with limited resources to global superstars is often described as unprecedented in K-pop history. While other groups leaned heavily on polished images and conventional marketing, BTS gained attention for their authenticity, storytelling, and consistent engagement with fans. However, behind their creative output stood Big Hit, later rebranded as HYBE, providing infrastructure, guidance, and opportunities that helped propel the group beyond the boundaries of South Korea. By the late 2010s, Big Hit had transitioned from survival mode into a phase of aggressive expansion. With BTS generating massive revenue, the company began investing in new artists, technologies, and subsidiaries. In 2021, Big Hit officially changed its name to HYBE, reflecting its ambition to become more than just a music label. The rebranding marked a shift toward a multi-industry corporation, encompassing music production, talent management, entertainment platforms, and even technological ventures like NFTs and gaming. For BTS, this meant that their careers were now tied not just to an entertainment company, but to a corporate empire with global reach. HYBE's influence extended into every aspect of BTS's activities. From album production to world tours, marketing campaigns to brand partnerships, the company provided resources on a scale that few others could match. At the same time, HYBE's growth strategy sometimes raised questions about priorities. Was the company's primary focus on the artistry of BTS, or was it on leveraging the group's success to build a corporate conglomerate? This question became especially pressing as HYBE acquired other labels, such as Source Music, Pledis Entertainment, and Ithaca Holdings in the US, expanding its portfolio beyond BTS. For fans and industry analysts, HYBE's dual identity, as both a music label and a corporate powerhouse, has always been intriguing. On one hand, The company is credited with giving BTS the tools and freedom to experiment musically, resulting in a discography that spans multiple genres and themes. On the other hand, its aggressive business strategies have sparked debates about whether BTS is sometimes treated more as a brand than as individual artists. The delicate balance between these two roles often comes into sharp focus during moments of controversy or uncertainty, moments like the one in the studio, when Taehyung's words caught Jungkook off guard. One of the defining features of HYBE's management style is its integration of technology. The creation of Weverse, a fan communication platform, is a prime example. By centralizing fan interactions, exclusive content, and merchandise sales, HYBE built an ecosystem where BTS's global fanbase, known as ARMY, could directly engage with the group while also contributing to the company's revenue streams. This level of integration blurred the line between artistry and commerce, creating both opportunities and challenges for the members. While it allowed them to connect with fans more directly than ever before, it also tied their creative work to a broader corporate framework that emphasized growth and monetization. The company's role in shaping BTS's career also extended into global strategy. From high-profile appearances at the United Nations to collaborations with international artists, HYBE positioned BTS not just as K-pop idols, but as global cultural ambassadors. This strategy elevated the group's visibility, but also introduced new pressures. BTS was no longer just representing themselves or their fans. They were carrying the weight of a brand that was deeply intertwined with HYBE's corporate identity. For members like Taehyung and Jungkook, this meant navigating a world where personal artistry and corporate strategy were inseparably linked. When examining Taehyung's revelation in this context, it becomes clearer why Jungkook's reaction was so intense. If the secret related to HYBE's future direction, new business plans, or internal policies, it would directly affect the trajectory of BTS's activities. Jungkook, who is known for his dedication to music and performance, may have been confronted with the realization that certain decisions about the group's future were being made beyond their immediate knowledge or control. In a company as vast as HYBE, this possibility is not difficult to imagine. HYBE's role in BTS's career has often been portrayed as a partnership, with the company providing resources and BTS delivering artistry. Yet, the balance of power is not always equal. As BTS's success enabled HYBE's global expansion, the company's reliance on the group became both a strength and a vulnerability. For HYBE, ensuring that BTS remained active, visible, and profitable was essential. For BTS, however, this sometimes meant aligning with strategies that were more corporate than creative. The tension between these two perspectives lies at the heart of many discussions about the group's future. The studio revelation could therefore be seen as a flashpoint, a moment when the underlying dynamics between HYBE and BTS surfaced in an unexpected way. Taehyung's calm delivery suggested that he had processed the information before sharing it, while Jungkook's disbelief highlighted the gap between expectation and reality. This gap is significant because it points to a broader issue. Even the most successful artists may not always have full visibility into the decisions shaping their careers. In the context of HYBE's vast corporate structure, it is plausible that certain strategies are discussed at executive levels long before they reach the artists themselves. Recording studios have always been central to BTS's creative process, and over time they have become more than just workspaces. For the members, the studio is a place where music and personal conversations often overlap. Ideas flow naturally, sometimes leading to melodies and lyrics, but just as often to deeper exchanges about their experiences as artists. It was within this familiar environment that Taehyung's words unsettled Jungkook, raising questions that lingered long after the recording session ended. Accounts of what transpired vary, but the general consensus among those who observed the moment is that the conversation began casually. The members were working on refining a track, discussing vocal arrangements, and experimenting with different sound textures. Jungkook, focused on his performance, had been adjusting his delivery on a particular verse, while Taehyung offered input. Between takes, The atmosphere shifted away from music, and Taehyung introduced a topic that seemed far removed from their immediate task. His words reportedly referenced HYBE in a way that surprised everyone present. He did not speak in anger or frustration, but rather with a tone that suggested he was sharing information that had been weighing on him. The details of the revelation remain unconfirmed, yet those who pieced together the context noted that it involved decisions being made at higher levels of the company, decisions that would likely affect BTS's activities in the near future. For Jungkook, this disclosure was unexpected, and his reaction was immediate. He leaned back slightly, his expression shifting from concentration to shock, as if trying to process the implications. The silence that followed was noticeable. In the usually lively environment of a BTS studio session, moments of quiet tend to stand out. Other members in the room reportedly exchanged glances, but chose not to interrupt. It was clear that Taehyung had touched on a subject that carried weight, one that did not require immediate response but demanded reflection. Jungkook's disbelief was evident, not through dramatic gestures, but through his hesitation to return to the microphone. The unfinished track, waiting to be recorded, suddenly felt less important than the words that had just been spoken. Why did Taehyung choose that moment to speak? One possible explanation is that the studio, despite being a professional space, also offers a level of privacy. Unlike interviews or live broadcasts, where every word is scrutinized by the public, the studio allows members to speak openly among themselves. It is a controlled environment where trust is assumed, and perhaps Taehyung felt it was the right place to share what he had learned. His calm demeanor suggested preparation. This was not an impulsive statement, but rather something he had decided to reveal after consideration. The exact content of the secret remains speculative, but there are clues in the reactions. Jungkook's disbelief hints at information that contradicted his expectations about HYBE's direction or decisions. Given HYBE's history of expanding rapidly into new business areas, the revelation may have involved upcoming projects that had not been communicated directly to the members. Alternatively, it could have related to structural changes within the company, shifts in leadership, priorities, or strategy that would inevitably influence BTS's activities. For Jungkook, who has consistently expressed his passion for music and artistry, the possibility that HYBE was making decisions without full transparency may have been difficult to reconcile. The studio is where he pours his energy into creation, and learning that external forces could alter or overshadow that process likely came as a shock. His pause, his silence, and his visible effort to absorb the information spoke louder than any verbal response. Observers noted that Taehyung did not press the issue further.